Born at the Beach, five coastal locations with the new addition at Rockaway Beach. I've yet to check it out, but I can't wait to.
You're a big Rockaway Beach guy.
I'm a big beach guy in general.
Doesn't matter. You don't discriminate against any beach town.
No, they're all special to me.
They're all special to you.
And so go check out the Rockaway Beach one at some point soon. Pelican Brewing, born at the beach. A huge thank you to our guest here who's hopping on for the Daily Ticker today, because yesterday that damn FBI got in our way.
Not every day your head coach of your NBA team gets arrested by the FBI. That kind of threw our plans out the window a little bit.
No, and I think he's very gracious with his time to even hop on today. But I think even he, who only talks college football,
yes,
with an occasional storm chasing, I think even he was like, "Oh God, that's a massive story." Yeah, let's punt, and we'll come back today. Josh Pate, College Football Show, YouTube at Josh Pate CFB. His latest edition last night. Very good stuff, and you can catch them all on the digital platforms, including Instagram, so give him a follow there. Pate, good morning. Thanks for rescheduling with us. I want to start with something. I know you're not a big NFL draft guy. You are Mr. College Football, but I want to tip my cap, because normally you would be saying this to me, but I'm going to say it to you. You proved to me in your SEC quarterback rankings that you, sir, are not a casual. Taylon Green, I think, is a great dark horse bet to be a number one NFL draft pick. I love what he is as a prospect. I think he's been electric. His team just kind of sucks. So I tip my cap to you, sir, of ranking him number 2 in the SEC of quarterbacks.
I'm sorry, the feds are swarming and you want to lead in Portland, Oregon with Arkansas football? I'll do it. I'll talk Arkansas. I got no problem. No problem whatsoever. So I think you make a good point here, even though it was a question, but you make a good point. Anytime someone wants to talk draft, we're talking about an individual player. We're not talking about a team. All right, so if we're talking about an individual player and how they would project to the NFL, all I ever ask for anyone who dismisses it is, if I did nothing more with Taylon Green but put, let's say a Miami helmet on him or an Alabama helmet on him, would you feel differently? And most people who criticize the take would feel differently. So they really correlate draft picks with how good is the team you're playing on doing. They do it with the Heisman as well. I get it a little more with the Heisman, but with the draft, I couldn't care less. Ideally, and usually, if you're a great quarterback, the team around you is going to elevate, but normally you don't have a coach getting fired and you don't have a horrifically bad defense. And mind you, if anyone wants to watch this toxicity, might I suggest on the West Coast at 9 a.m. tomorrow, you will be able to watch Auburn with a coach on the hot seat facing Arkansas in pouring rain in Fayetteville. It should be wonderful television.
Hugh Freeze begging his AD for a vote of confidence this week was one of the highlights of the last couple of days. Let me ask you this, Pate. What was Josh Pate doing in 2007?
I was just out. I was in college.
Okay.
I was, let's see, what do I correlate 2007 with? That's when Nick Saban came to Alabama. I know that happened that year. That was the insane college football year. I was basically learning that I didn't know anything because college football confused everyone that year.
It's like, wait, how's Boston College in South Florida and Oregon ranked number 2 in the country? There's Rutgers, I think, maybe at a moment in time, too. I saw it after this weekend. I think we have 18 AP top 10 teams who have lost at this point in the season, which is second to only 2007, which had 19. And I know you've had takes that everybody wants to go back and revisit about Miami. Maybe it's Ohio State for some. Maybe it's even Indiana. Are you getting that feeling? Like last year, there was the theory of Ohio State is going to wake up at some point. If they don't, is Ryan Day going to get fired? But just from a talent composite standpoint, it felt like maybe they were the best team in the country going into the year, and that was proven right at the end. Does one of those teams exist, or do we truly have just more chaos where, Bama loses and somebody else loses, and we just get chaos all season long like 2007?
I think it's a chaos all season long thing. The pushback on that would be, if you have one dominant team, you can't have a 2007.
Yeah.
Because in 2007, kind of like last year, a 2-loss team won the national title. That 2-loss team was LSU, and they lost their last regular season game, just like Ohio State did, which is crazy because we didn't have a 12-team playoff back then. We just had the BCS title game, and somehow that team still made it in and won. I think the pushback that people would have on you right now, if you try and say this is 2007 all over again, is they would say maybe behind Ohio State it's 2007, but Ohio State's dominant, so we're headed towards the same ending. We just don't know what combination of teams will arrange themselves beneath Ohio State in the playoff. And that may be true. I can't disprove that. People keep thinking I'm a Ohio State hater this year because I keep trying to just lightly pump the brakes and very gently say, we got to hold on until they play high-level competition, which they haven't yet. That's not a knock on them. That doesn't mean they shouldn't be number one or anything like that. But here's what it does mean. It means that it's not the craziest logic in the world to think a two-loss team from last year that lost a ton of great players magically isn't just better. Like, there may not be a crack here or there that's able to be exposed by the right team. I don't think that's crazy logic. So I think we are headed towards that. Now, here's what that may look like. What that may look like is Ohio State doesn't even get pushed until, I don't know, the Big Ten title game or the playoff. There could also be what we had with Bama in week one. It's just this random, totally out of nowhere, your buddies are lighting your phone up, hey, you got to turn on the Ohio State game. It's mid-fourth quarter, they're tied, sort of occurrence. Because that stuff happens in a season like 2007. The only drawback to that, if you're rooting for it, is I think Ryan Day is so good at getting them up every week that I don't know that the freak upset is what's going to happen as much as just they face a good team, and they don't face a whole lot of them in the regular season, but they face a good team, and they find out, oh, we had some flaws all along. They just didn't get exposed until right here at the very end. That was Oregon last year, by the way.
Yeah.
That's who I'm describing.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, Josh Pate is our guest here for the Ticker. I kind of looked at their schedule, Pate, and you're right. Maybe you get a text from a buddy, hey, they're in a dogfight with UCLA.
The Penn State one was the one we all circled in that.
But Penn State, Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, Michigan, like right now, and I know Michigan, say what you want about where they're at and how you feel about the rivalry. It's a rivalry. I get it. But like largely, I think people would probably pick them to win out. I almost wonder if they're Oregon, right? Like even if they get to the Big Ten title game, and let's say it's Indiana, and I agreed with your take last night of 25 points, a lot of points for UCLA to be an underdog against Indiana. But if it is Indiana and they narrowly beat Indiana, we're going to say that's a good win. But Oregon did that last year against Penn State. Now, I know they also beat Ohio State, but I almost wonder if they're kind of Oregon. Like, they're going to be able to go through this gauntlet and get through it, and then their first test is their first playoff game, and it's going to be, whoa, we haven't faced a team quite like this yet.
Yeah, and I'll say this. Now, this is going to sound really counterintuitive because you never, ever, ever want to lose a game, period.
Right.
I think purely – well, we can go back to last year. If you're talking about purely from the standpoint of wanting to win the national title, I think that team losing to Michigan helped them win the national title. I really don't think there's much argument about that. They would have made the playoff had they beaten Michigan, but I don't know that it would have provided the juice they got about themselves to win it all. Well, this year – I think purely in terms of trying to win it all, I think losing a game late may help them. They may not need the help, but I think purely in terms of trying to win a title, it may propel them, which, by the way, is the exact kind of conversation I wanted to avoid when I pushed back against expanding playoffs. Because I knew good and well someone was going to say this. I just didn't think it was going to be me.
You got to lose at the right time in order to do it. I love watching the upset meters last night. It should be a fun weekend. Who are the coaches? Hugh Freeze is probably the first one that comes to mind, but just the most desperate for a win this weekend because we have a crazy coaching carousel. You've been teasing that for weeks now, and more guys keep getting fired, and it sounds like more could come after this weekend. Who are the guys under the biggest nut crunch to get a dub this weekend?
I don't want to paint over what you just said, but that's it. It's Hugh Freeze this weekend because Mike Norvell does not play. FSU does not play, and he would not have a job now if not for the buyout. So I don't know what they're going to do there. There's still a lot of people who think they're going to move on him. It's just kind of getting their ducks in a row. But at Auburn, you guys know I grew up really close to there. That place is not happy right now. I think the other one to keep an eye on is LSU. But LSU's in a different boat. LSU's 5-2 right now. They just all hate Brian Kelly. So no one down there is happy with Brian Kelly, but yet at the same time, we're 5-2. I mean, we're mathematically alive for the playoff, so we certainly can't be making a move. And then if they lose to A&M, so A&M is favored against them at home this weekend, which tells you a lot. If they do lose that game, I think the next step internally is going to be they push for him to change his offensive coordinator, because his offensive coordinator was his hire. A lot of the other coaches who are actually panning out were not his decisions. That one was, and it's not working out. And I think that they're going to just say, we got to rearrange things internally. You may call that rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, but they won't use that phrasing because it doesn't sound good to fans. So they'll just say, we need to rearrange things. I think he may push back on it because he's very stubborn. And I think if they lose Saturday, that won't be the last loss they have this year. So they'll be en route to at least an 8-4 season, or at best an 8-4 season. And here's the one thing about Death Valley at night. It gets the praise it should. It's an incredible environment. I don't think people outside of Louisiana understand. It can also be a weapon against LSU because if you get a big lead on LSU at home, that place empties out really quick. And also, if it's a hot seat situation like it is here, the fans who remain do not remain to cheer. They remain to boo. And it's kind of like you remember those Penn State games a couple of weeks ago where the spectacle of it was so toxic you couldn't turn away from it, you couldn't ignore it anymore. That is the kind of dynamic that may be a moot point if LSU wins or it's down to the wire. But if A&M goes in there and kind of handles the game, that will be something that is not expected, and then when it's seen, it just slaps you in the face and you can't ignore it.
That was the Bama game last year. I remember all that build-up for Bama going down there in a night game in Baton Rouge, and it was like 42-0. I felt like in the third quarter, and the place was empty.
Yeah, I was there. That's very, very much a lasting memory in my mind. I couldn't believe it. Louisiana games and LSU games at night and Penn State games are horrific for traffic afterwards, and we didn't even hardly have to hit our brakes leaving Tiger Stadium after that game. Could not believe it.
So I'm very curious about something. Oregon's playing Wisconsin this weekend, and this is a kind of a dud game, I think, for most. It's going to be pouring rain. Oregon cares so little about this game. They're wearing tie-dye this weekend because they're honoring the Grateful Dead. I want to ask you, though, I know Wisconsin isn't the level of an Auburn and an LSU and Florida State's, but that's a really respectable program. I think we all have watched college football. Like, that program is usually a pretty good program. I can't believe how much they have fallen with Luke Fickell, and the fit was always a little odd, but it's hitting the side of a mountain, and yet I got the institution telling the fans to shut up and donate money to back Fickell. How is he possibly going to stay the coach there, or is this going to be another institution who's going to have egg on their face because they're absolutely going to have to fire him?
Wait, so this is a Grateful Dead weekend for Oregon?
Yes,
it is.
Yeah.
So do you think they could have just put Grateful on their portion of the uniforms and waited for people to get the joke that Wisconsin was playing the dead part?
That's a good one. Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know how it got this bad. Luke Fickell, I think, is a really good coach. I don't just think the Cincinnati stuff was by accident. I don't think he took Cincinnati to a playoff as just an oops, oh, look what we did. So they hired him there, and he absolutely screwed up his coordinator hire. But you could have hired me as your offensive coordinator, and I wouldn't think it got screwed up that bad. Just fire me. Just get rid of me.
Yeah.
But they didn't immediately with Phil Longo, and now they're just a dead program. I can't believe where they are now. And then I also can't believe that they apparently, and this could change week to week, obviously, but as of last week, their internal plan was, we think he's still a good coach. We're going to completely scrap it, and we're going to inject like $30 million into NIL, and we're just going to try and rebuild it from him down. But we're going to keep him. But we're going to rebuild everything beneath him. And I don't know. Maybe that makes sense because I'm the one who just said I think he's still a good coach. I just don't know. I don't know how you sell it to people. If it were operating in a vacuum, like if it was just something in your backyard. If you're trying to build a tree fort and you screwed it up and you're going to refix it, okay, put your money in it, refix it. This is Wisconsin football, so you need donor support, you need fan support, and I don't know how they maintain it. Even if that is their plan, I don't know how they maintain it.
Yeah, you got any Grateful Dead on the playlist?
Touch of Grey, I think, is a good song.
Okay.
All right. Well, good stuff, man. Josh Pate, very kind to reschedule with us. Supposed to be on every Thursday. At around 7:40, but we had to reschedule yesterday because the feds were in town to take our head coach away from the Portland Trailblazers. So very kind to reschedule. Follow him on Instagram at Josh Pate CFB. Tune into the show. It's every Sunday. It's every Tuesday. It's every Thursday. And he likes to tell you it's free to subscribe. He's almost at 500,000 subscribers, so that's going to be awesome. I love the idea of people screaming their hate at you as a way to celebrate because that's great. Keep up the great work, my man, and thank you for rescheduling with us, and we'll talk with you next Thursday.
I would say this show is always a sure thing, but it's probably not smart given the circumstances, but I appreciate it anyway. Thank you, guys.
There we go. Our good friend Josh Pate, Pate State University. I love the Grateful Dead comment. Like, just wear Grateful jerseys and let everybody else go, oh, that's the
connected
Dead team.
us there. Yeah,
65-0.
They're the dead ones, huh? I'm with you. It is. When Oregon joined the Big Ten, Wisconsin was one of the teams that you thought, this will be fun matchups. You know, Oregon's played them in multiple Rose Bowls. They beat Russell Wilson back in the day to win their first Rose Bowl in like 100 years. Played them again in 2019, and Herbert had that game running all over them. Like, they've had some big-time showdowns and big games, and it's hard to make sense of how far they have fallen off and how bad they are right now.
They're tied for dead last with Purdue. Now, you can go to conference record here. They're 2-5. Only them and Purdue are 2-5. Rutgers and Penn State are 3-4.
Does Wisconsin have a win over a Power 4 team?
Wisconsin.
Did they beat one in non-conference? Because I know they haven't won.
I don't believe they did. Their 2 wins are...
Googling.
Here it is. Middle Tennessee State and Miami of Ohio.
Okay.
They have lost to Bama, Maryland, Michigan, Iowa, and Ohio State.
Yeah. Not good, Bob.